Rebecca, it's Nick. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Thanks for coming on today. Saw a
Okay.
few posts of yours the other day, something positive and uplifting, and I wanted to sort of see if I could get some ideas and some advice for other business owners in this time.
Yeah.
Could you just start by just telling me a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so I am a rapid transformational therapist and executive coach. So, rapid transformational therapy is a hybrid therapy that uses NLP, hypnotherapy, CBT, psychotherapy to get to the root cause of people's blocks, what's sort of holding them back. We then reframe it under hypnosis and then transform it. And every client has a sort of personalised recording that helps to rewire their neural pathways through repetition and listening to it for at least a month.
Yeah.
And then I work with clients after the session using more cognitive conscious strategies, coaching strategies to help them implement the changes they want in the real world. So that is what I do.
Wow. Okay. And how long's that been? Has that been something you've been doing pretty much since the
So
beginning?
no, so I was a lawyer for many years.
Oh yeah.
I was in corporate law firms as a construction lawyer initially, and then moved into more general business law. And I started off with a psychology degree and then moved into law,
Yeah.
and really kind of have come back to my first love. So I've been practicing as an RTT therapist since last September. So it's all relatively new,
Yeah.
but pulling all my experience together, with my clients who tend to be entrepreneurs or senior partners, directors of businesses.
Would you say that there's a sort of a theme, or is everybody's block completely different?
No, there's definitely a theme. And what happens is people come, they present with their issue, and actually the real problem is generally something completely different.
Okay.
And and they tend to come down to feelings of either not being good enough, not being worthy, not being deserving or lovable, which people don't necessarily associate these issues with the things they're facing in their daily life.
Yeah.
But these ultimately, when we're in a state of hypnosis and our subconscious mind is sort of leading the way, these are the things that we generally go back to, often because of something that happened in childhood. Doesn't have to be big traumatic events. It can be something very simple, or it could simply be a parent that had a different love language, so loved you in a way that actually wasn't relevant for you, which
Yeah.
left you feeling perhaps unloved. So it's often very surprising for the client to discover what their issue is, but not for me as a therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
That's really
interesting. And then,
interesting.
it is really interesting. And then this programming that we had in childhood, is it drives the subconscious mind drives us. We used to think it was 95% of our life, but actually the studies now are suggesting that actually it's an even greater percentage.
Yeah.
So our daily life is driven by our programming, often which happens in childhood, and I always say to my clients, did your parents or the programming that you received as a child, were you set up correctly to achieve your goals now? And often the answer is no.
Yeah.
So we need to unpick that, change it, and rewire the brain.
Yeah. And this generally takes. I mean, obviously, there's no, how long is a piece of string, but how long does this generally take to start to see the results?
So it's really, really quick. I tend to work with clients for one issue. We like to focus on one issue at a time, because the mind works best by focusing on one issue at a time. So we can have one RTT session, and you will start to see changes almost immediately. Often clients notice that they'll suddenly catch themselves doing something differently to how they would have done it before. So
Yeah.
perhaps leaning into opportunities rather than procrastinating and stepping away from them is a common theme that starts to happen. It's very, very quick. And then so for example, say somebody came to me for fear of public speaking, we would do the RTT session, they would go away, and then I'd have follow-up coaching calls with them just to just to monitor their progress and deal with anything that comes up in the real world. But actually, the transformation is quite quick, and generally within about 3 or 4 months after a session, big chunks of their life will have transformed, and it sort of happens in a fairly effortless way.
Yeah,
there's no forcing. Yeah, because their programming is different, the mind is different, they're seeing different things, they're responding, they feel differently about things, so they automatically respond differently.
Yeah.
So it happens, effortlessly and easily, and then you look back at, so where you were 3 months ago, and there's a huge difference.
Yeah, small changes over time can lead you somewhere completely different. I was listening to something similar recently. I just wanted to get your views on it. The guy was saying that people have a lot of self-doubt. They feel like they're bad at everything and they suck, and that's just not a natural human. It's not the way that people would ever be wired. So a lot of these negative thoughts are put upon them by somebody telling them that they're not good enough, or obviously, as you said, in terms of not being loved the right way and not getting what they need. So is it generally an external factor, or is it just the way that they sort of respond to these external factors, I guess?
I completely agree with what he's saying. We, as babies, we are coming to this world believing that we are amazing, and this is why babies scream until they get the attention that they need. And just gradually over time, the messages we are sent as children, stop crying, or just get on with it, all the things from not parents that aren't abusive, or just from well-intentioned parents that are actually going about their own life, being very busy. The programming that they've had, you don't have to have had terrible parents to have these limitations. So I completely agree that actually they are external factors that are put on us when we are like little sponges. So until we're about the age of 7, we're sort of in a theta brainwave, which is a slower brainwave, and we just absorb everything. It's the brainwave frequency that we tap into in hypnosis, which makes us very suggestible. So in like now, you and I talking now, we're in beta active brainwave, then we slow it down into alpha, and then we go into theta, and it just makes our subconscious mind very open to absorbing everything. And that's what we're in as children. So we just, I see it with my own. They're 4 and 8, and my 8-year-old is just now starting to question things, whereas my 4-year-old, I could tell him anything, and he believes it.
Wow. Great. So you, they come to your office, and then, or do you go around the country, or?
Fortunately, given the current situation, my preference is to do everything over Zoom, like a teleconferencing software, and people sometimes feel a little bit like, actually, I'd rather see you face to face. But what I find with clients is we can do it when they're in their own home, as long as I can see them and I can hear them. They actually relax much quicker, because it's quite an intimate thing to sit in a room with somebody you've never met with your eyes shut, and it takes a little while for somebody to relax into that. Whereas if they're at home doing it over Zoom, they are completely relaxed, they're in their own environment, as long as they're not going to be disturbed. Some clients do prefer to come to me, and I have a garden office. But I can also go to offices, as long as they've got somewhere quiet and that we can be in undisturbed. So, but actually, in the current climate, the option is there for Zoom.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, there's going to be a huge switch, or already is a switch, to more remote working. So your service is probably more valuable now than ever.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of anxiety at the moment, potentially with social isolation. If people are having to work from home, if they don't have partners, if they live alone, or they don't have partners or whatever, there's potentially going to be a lot of a big mental health fallout from this. And people like me can offer a service over the internet, remotely, that actually can really help people, definitely.
Yeah, wow. I mean, have you had anybody yet that's talking about these issues, or is it sort of too early to?
Oh, yeah, it's been the topic of conversation for, I think, about over a week now for every single one of my clients. You know, a lot of them, as I said, are businesses or entrepreneurs, and they are worried. They're already starting to see some impact, but it's about kind of digging deep, you know, regrouping, you know, being agile, you know, thinking, okay, my usual service perhaps is not what people require right now. They need something fast, you know, a lower price point, you know, that's going to serve them right now. And I think as long as businesses can be agile and flexible and just take a different route, maybe in this potentially turbulent few months, I think everybody will be fine. But to do that, you've got to have the right mindset.
Yeah, definitely. Some of my clients at the moment are slightly panicking in different industries. For example, I have a dentist who's very concerned because they're very close to the clients. Not many people are wanting to come to the dentist at the time.
Yeah.
And then I have a friend who works in a travel lodge. He's seen the general workers would stay in the week, but he was getting much less bookings in the week coming up to this point. But now people just not turning up, really low capacity. And he's actually been told that some of the travel lodges will be used as temporary hospitals.
Okay.
So it's a complete, you know, transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all going to have to adapt.
Yes.
The initial panic, sort of the bomb has gone off, and now we're just sort of trying to, you know, pick up the pieces and see where to go. Do you have any advice for anybody, just maybe a few quick takes that somebody can do if they're feeling the panic at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm saying to everybody now, if you're starting to go into that sort of anxious, feeling low, feeling overwhelmed, count to 3 and walk outside. Just walk, whether it's around the garden, around the block, wherever, just get some fresh air. Movement is really powerful at shifting anxiety. So even if you just jump up and do 10 star jumps, whatever it is, just 1, 2, 3, go, and do it. You know, it changes everything when we move. I'm a big believer in our breath as well. We carry our breath with us everywhere. It's a tool that we can use to bring us back to the present moment. So sitting, breathing right into the belly, so the tummy pops out, and then as you breathe out, it flattens again. Just to really focus on that, center yourself, ground yourself. And from then, once you're feeling calmer, more grounded, more in the moment, then you can get creative and look at your business and think, okay, you know, what can I do? I mean, my usual package is a 3-month package. I've now started offering 1-hour sessions with people to do a quick deep dive. Let's resolve this, let's transform it, let's go off and, you know, continue to thrive. So it's just about being flexible and being creative, but we have to do that from a place of groundedness and calm and
so you know, give them the tools to center themselves, and from there obviously we can, with a conscious brain, start to plan and make some decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think an awareness as well is very important. You know, if most of us revert to a sort of type of behavior when we're in a stressful situation, and just having an awareness of that and going, okay, how is this going to serve me, my business, my clients, and having that conscious awareness, actually I'm going to choose to do something different, and I'm going to do it from a place of calm. And when we take those breaths, or we just make that movement, or we go outside, it gives us that pause, that space to choose how we're going to respond rather than just reacting.
Definitely, because you can be reading about it or watching the news and just spiral. And then but if you can catch yourself, I've had times in the past where I've been very stressed and anxious, and I found, as you said, a lot of the time I'd go to the window and just breathe in some fresh air, because sometimes it feels like the actual room is closing in on you, and simply opening the window is good. But also I like to grab a pen and paper sometimes, even if I just end up drawing blocks or doodling. You can start to, if your gears are just slipping and your wheels are just spinning out of control, you can just start to write things and get a grip on, and you can physically see it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing a free little challenge in my Facebook group just to keep everybody's vibe high. And today's challenge was exactly that. Get your journal out, journal on your thoughts on the challenges that we're facing right now, your worries, your anxieties, get them out, and then journal on actually what opportunities is this situation giving me, not just from a business perspective but also from a personal, a spiritual. We're potentially going to be able to have more time with our children, make more time. We're not going to necessarily be commuting, so that gives us a couple of extra hours a day. What opportunities are coming from this, and just reframe it.
Yeah, definitely. I was speaking to a client yesterday and she was worried. She's a mobile car valeter, and they were doing really well the last couple of months, prior, just January and February were fantastic for her, but it's really dried up, and she was very concerned about the lack of calls because people aren't really wanting any contact at all.
Yeah.
But she has children, and I just said at this point it's just really keep doing what you're doing, and building your business and building ideas around it, but spending time with your kids is, we might not get this opportunity again, and we have to reframe it.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, maybe now is the opportunity, and I totally appreciate if you're trying to build a business and you've got children at home, it's challenging. Mine are still at school. I'm sort of preparing for the schools to finish fairly soon, but actually it's a real opportunity to teach our kids other stuff that they don't learn at school. So mine will be with me when I'm marketing my business online, and they will be, I can get them involved in tracking the finances and all that kind of stuff that actually we often don't have time to do as working parents.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity to, and another thing for those of us with children, I'm going to get them to do a little journal, because actually this is a historical moment that we are living in, and in the future when they are grown up, their children will learn about this at school, and if they can show them, look at the photographs of the shelves, this is my journal, this is how I felt, this is what I was worried about, this is, I'm going to do that with them as well. So
that's a great
and turn
idea.
it into something positive, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, fingers crossed. We haven't experienced a war. This is almost a World War III in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've had it, relatively easy. At the moment, my kids are just under 2, so I'm sort of showing them how to. We're planting some seeds, and they're sort of seeing them grow and things like that. It's there's just things that we didn't expect to be having to do, but if we can bring our kids along and especially keep that calmness and help them keep centered, hopefully we'll get something positive out of this, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's really key. Our children are watching us, and it's challenging times for businesses, but actually there are opportunities. We need to keep that in mind and remember that we are being watched, and we don't want to instill a sense of anxiety and fear in the world into our children. So if we can do positive things like with the seeds, or making a scrapbook or whatever it is, it's a really great life lesson for them.
Definitely. There's so many different people having different fears and anxieties at the moment. And each day is completely changing. Have you seen any changes in the questions or the fears that you're getting in your group, or is it still? I guess it's still a very early stage, and people are just sort of coming at you with everything.
Yeah, and I think we're still in shock mode, aren't we? It's come about very quickly. I was actually due to fly out to Italy when it all sort of started over there, so I've been following it quite closely from the beginning, and decided not to go, and made the right decision, because everybody then had to be quarantined that was coming back from Italy the day I was flying back. So been following it quite closely. But I think everybody's just in shock mode. Everybody is offering lots of free advice. There's some great offers out there from experts in their field that are now offering things at very low costs, and there's stuff out there that people can tap into and use this time in a positive way when they may have clients that have dropped off or anything. It's a really great time for laying all the foundations in businesses, getting the mailing list and all of that kind of stuff that we never have time for the rest of the time, getting all of that ready and prepared so that when we're through this and the shock phase has died down and implementations have been put in place, that we've got solid foundations to grow from.
I think it's really important to reiterate what you're saying there, in the sense that we are going to get through this. The landscape might look differently, but we've been, since the dawn of time, we've had diseases, famines, and everything like that. It is terrible and it is wild, but we'll have to get through this. So we might as well center ourselves and start doing something positive. Certainly helping others on the way, because it's going to be it's going to be very difficult. But we are going to have to take control and ownership of what we do and steer it in the right direction.
Yes, absolutely, completely agree. And everything will be all right in the end.
Yes, yeah. How do people contact you if they're looking for some advice? What's the best place to?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Rebecca Ingram, or Facebook. Transformation and Success Hub is the name of my group, or an email. You can drop me an email.
That's great. I'll put the links in the description. I think the Facebook group's very interesting. I hear a lot of different groups have opened up or that have already been around are really sort of dipping into that. The community of business people and just getting people's ideas and bouncing off the fears. Communication's key for us dealing with this and learning more and understanding. So
absolutely, yeah. There's been a couple of Facebook groups, new ones that have popped up, and people are having Zoom meetings. Zoom is an amazing tool. There's other teleconferencing software out there that you can use. That's just what I use, but we're very fortunate that we have the technology to be able to still keep in contact and feel that we can have that almost real life contact with people while we're all sort of being responsible and aware and trying to stay out of everybody's way.
Yeah, exactly. I think the tools that you've mentioned, such as Zoom, I hadn't really considered. So that's a fantastic tool, and I'm really glad that that's available for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for coming on today.
Thanks, Nick. It's been great talking to you.
Take care.
All right.
Bye now.
Take care, Andrew.